First thing, I better have your work or your 5 questions up here. Letter A, annual rate. If the APR, what's APR stand for?
Annual percentage rate.
Annual percentage rate. So what's the annual rate?
12.
12%. Nothing hard about that. What do you do to figure out semi-annual?
6%.
Divide by 2. All right, make sure semi-annual means 2. Doing it twice a year. What did it come out to be?
6%.
6%. Quarterly, what do you divide by?
4.
Divide by 4 quarters. Hopefully you know that. That's 3%. Monthly rate, what do you divide by?
12.
Divide by 12. I didn't make this thing, I tried not to make it real difficult to do the division. What do you get there?
1%.
So, if a credit card is charging a monthly, or if they're doing your interest monthly, then that means every month they're charging you 1% on top of what you got. Not 12%, but the 1%. Daily rate, what do we divide by?
365.
Divide by 365. Somebody help me out, this one was a little harder.
0.033.
0.033, everybody agree with that? I don't know, somebody do it on their calculator real quick, let's make sure.
365 by 12, right?
Divide 12 by,
Oh, it is 365.
what's it come out to be?
0.033.
Is that right?
Yeah, it technically comes up to 0.30 or 0.0328, but
Close enough. So it's, you got to be careful with this. Listen closely. Let's see who's actually listening here. I want to change this number right here to a percentage. What do I have to do to it? It's already a percentage, isn't it? Don't do anything to it. So don't think that. Because a lot of times when you see these percentages and they look like this is what I know students do. They see that percent and the first thing they want to do is bump the decimal over. No reason to do that. It's already a percentage. If you want to change it to a regular number, you need to move the decimal over 2 places this way. So if we're going to put it in the calculator or something, we need something like that. So if you're using this on the calculator, that's a percentage, but we need to change it into, or if we need to change it to a regular number to do any kind of math with it, then we bump it 2 places to the left. So this is a regular number. Would be 0.00033. So if we had to multiply or divide or anything else, that's what we do to it. You've got to make sure you know that. That's probably the hardest thing with figuring out this stuff. Right? And again, the other thing that AJ needs to remember, if he's got a credit card, and let's say this month he puts $155 on it. And he's trying to figure out how much they're going to charge him in interest. And he does the math using a number like this one right here. And he does the math and he comes up with $255.73. Does that make any sense that he's going to pay that amount in interest this month? If he pays that amount in interest, then he better get rid of that credit card because they're ripping him off bad. All right? Probably what happened here is he got his decimal in the wrong spot. Instead of there, it probably should have been right there. Would it make more sense that he pays $2.58 in interest this month? That would make a whole lot more sense than the $255. Make sure that your answers make sense. The other 2 worksheets. The other two worksheets, and you are going to hand these in, so make sure you're looking at them. First, on this one, there's questions on the back to answer. Make sure you answer it. Tell me something that, as you read this, something that you got out of this, reading it. Go ahead.
Credit.
Since it's not a debit card, you want to ask what the overcharge fee is.
So you might want to ask what the overcharge fee is. Give me something else. Go ahead, Simon, you had something?
You could build good credit on it, and it would be easier to buy cars and houses.
So you can use it, you can use credit cards to build your credit. Now, the bad thing with using a credit card to build your credit, it's sort of a two-sided sword. I think I mentioned that my mom always paid off her credit card before they charged her anything. That builds good credit, so she had great credit. But then when the credit card companies didn't like her anymore, and they cut off her credit card, guess what that did to her credit?
Dropped it.
It hurt it, because everybody else that looks at her credit didn't know why the credit card company dumped her. They just, credit card company cut her off. She no longer has a credit card. All right, so it's like a two-sided sword where you can build up your credit. You can also do what to your credit? Hurt it. If you keep too much on a credit card, when you go in to get a house loan or a car loan or something, they look at that and they say, let's see, you make $2,000 a month, your credit card, you got a $300 payment each month towards your credit card. That eats away at what your credit score is going to be. All right, so the more credit cards you have doesn't necessarily mean the greatest credit score that you have. All right, if you have too many credit cards, it's not a good thing sometimes. What else did you, as you were reading this, what else did you see? Who was this letter aimed towards?
College.
All right, people, college students, people getting ready to go to college, maybe people your age. It doesn't have to be you're going to college. People your age. What'd they tell you? Matt goes out and he goes off to college. Sees that little table there and they're giving away free t-shirts. Oh yeah! Matt's all about getting something for free. Is it necessarily a great thing? What else? Nothing else to write on the back?
Does it come with any cash back for purchases?
Any kind of cashback purchases? I heard this on the radio a few days ago. I'm trying to remember exactly what they said. But they said that you have to be really, really leery right now, because credit cards are paying a whole lot of cash back. Can't remember how they said it. Dang on it. I shouldn't have missed the other day because I remembered it for Monday because I wanted to tell you guys. The credit cards, their cash back stuff is really, really high right now. Like they're giving really high percentages for cash back. But, this is the part I can't remember, there's something else that they're sliding in there that are causing it not to make sense to do it. But I can't remember what it was. So that might be something you really look at to make sure, because it seems like it was something like they're giving you really high cashback offers, but you're getting charged a lot. Some other kind of fee. There's an extra fee that they're adding in there or something. So you got to be careful. What else did they tell you on here? What else? What other kind of questions should you ask the people about their credit card? None?
What the APR is.
Ask what the annual percentage rate is, right? Now, with the annual percentage rate, again, does that mean that they're going to charge you that annual percentage after a year? Build up all you want, and then they're just going to charge you interest at the end of the year? No. So the other thing to go right along with that, you should probably ask how they calculate the interest that you're going to pay. All right, calculating the interest, and that's one of the things that we're going to do today. There's a whole bunch of different ways. The way that we do it today, this is going to show how old our book is. The way that I'm going to show you how to do it today is the way they used to do it. Most credit cards don't do it this way now, because now they all have computers, and they just punch in Elijah's numbers, and it automatically does the interest and adds it on just constantly. What other kind of questions? None? Just sign up. Just get every credit card you can get, Noah, and be done with it. How many credit cards did this say you should have?
One.
Should probably keep it around one. I would suggest two, just for the simple reason that where do you do a lot of purchasing at now? Online. I would keep one credit card that I use strictly online, and another one that I use for other things. Who is that? Yeah. So if you keep one, we've had, my identity has been, I don't want to say my identity has been stolen. Nobody wants to be Ebersole. But we've had our credit card numbers and stuff stolen 3 times. All right? So, and it's never really hurt me because they caught it. You know, right away, sometimes crooks aren't the brightest of people, and when my credit card number showed up out in California one time and the people were spending $10,000, the credit card company called us right away and said, "Hey, were you just in California trying to buy this?" I said, "No." I said, "All right," and they canceled the credit card. But it's been 3 times that we've had that done, okay? One of the times I know what happened. We were on a trip. We went to like Tennessee or somewhere for baseball. And before we even got home, I think we'd stopped and got gas somewhere. And before we even got back home, the credit card company was trying to contact us because our card was being used out in like, I think that time it was out in like Washington or somewhere. And I said, "No, I haven't been to Washington." So they knew to cancel it right away. But back to the original point, keep 2 separate credit cards, one that you use for online stuff, because it's not as easy as it used to be, but it's not real hard for somebody to get your information if everything's out there online. All right? So keep one for that, and then one that you use for other things. That way the 2 don't get mixed up. Anything else you should ask these people?
How long would it take for the payments to go back and forth?
Very good question, all right? Make sure, and I think they said in here somewhere that credit card companies, one of the little tricks that they do, they send out your bill late so that they can charge you a late fee. And I can't say that they did this on purpose, but one of my student loans that I had, a bank will sometimes sell your loans to other banks. So you might go down to New Paris and get a loan through that bank, and then a month from now find out that you're no longer dealing with that bank, you're dealing with some bank in Utah or somewhere, because they sold your loan to some other bank. Alright? I know that doesn't seem to make you, how do they sell your loan? Well, all they're doing is they're saying, alright, so me and Ben, Lane takes out a loan through me, and I say, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with Lane's paperwork and stuff for the next 10 years. I'm going to make, on this loan from Lane, I'm going to end up making $700 off of it. I sell it to Ben for $200. All right, so I make $200. He's going to end up making the $700, which he lost $200 because he paid me, so he makes a $500 extra on his. So they sell off your loan to somebody else. One of my student loans, they sold off to a company in, I want to say it was like Wisconsin or somewhere. So my loan was through a company in Dayton. They sold it to somebody in Wisconsin. So every month I was making a payment on my student loan. I'd get the loan or the paperwork from that company, or from what I thought was that company in Dayton. I'd mail it back to them. Well, that company then had to mail it to Wisconsin. They weren't in a big hurry to mail off my loan payment to that company in Wisconsin. So every month I was getting charged a late fee. After about 3 months, I contacted them. I said, what in the world's going on? And the company in Dayton said, we no longer have your loan. We sold it to another company. I said, then why am I still mailing my stuff to you guys? Why can't I just mail it to them directly? Oh no, that's not the way it works. You gotta mail it to us and then we mail it to them. So what I had to make sure I started doing was paying that about a week early to make sure that it got to the place so I didn't get charged that late fee every month. And you need to make sure with your credit card company that you're not getting charged that late fee. It's not hurting them any that you pay your bill a little late, but it's helping them if you pay it a little late because you're giving them more money. Anything else on this one? Make sure your names are on those. Look at the other one. Using credit cards. Give me an advantage to using a credit card.
Use it to get your credit score up.
Help your credit score.
Good for emergencies.
Good for emergencies. That's, with my mom, that's all she ever used it for was emergencies. Water heater went out. Of course, you know, if the water heater goes out, we don't have $1,000 just laying around to go out and buy a new water heater and have it put in and everything else. So, what else? Another advantage.
Use it to get a car or house loan.
All right, might help you get other loans. Other advantages. Those are probably the main ones. Good for emergencies, that's the main thing with the credit card. What, just a bank card. What's the good thing about a bank card? Like a debit card. Maybe.
Depends on how much you have.
You don't have to carry around cash.
You don't have to carry around a bunch of cash. All right?
It can't be stolen as easy.
Right. Especially if you're doing a lot of trips. If you're going on a lot of trips, if your business takes you out of town all the time, last thing you want to have to do is carry around all that cash in your pocket. Right? Usually if I go out of town, my wife will draw out a bunch of cash and we'll put it somewhere. She'll usually give it to me. And what I'll usually do is I'll usually hide it somewhere. I usually hide it in like our car or whatever. Now the bad thing with that is, especially nowadays with, I don't know what kind of cars all of you have, but if you have these stupid key fobs, one of my key fobs on my van was screwing up, and I didn't know it. And every time I stuck it in my pocket, it would unlock the doors or lock the doors, and as I'm walking away, all the lights were flashing on it and stuff, and I finally realized it. But the bad thing is I didn't realize it one night, and my van was left open while we're at this hotel. Oh, and they stole everything out of my van. Now, I shouldn't say they stole everything. They stole, when I go on baseball trips, I pack up like a bag of food and snacks and stuff so that we can carry back and forth to the baseball field, and then there's other stuff like that that I pack up. So they stole that bag. They stole my GPS that I had in there, which nobody has a GPS now because you just use your phone. So that didn't bother my wife. She's probably the one that took that because she hated it.
They have a serious stereo.
No, they didn't. See, they didn't bother to do that.
Why are you
snacks,
committing
dog.
why are you committing crimes if you're not gonna take this thing of value?
So they stole that snack bag. They stole my GPS. I had some tools in there that they took my toolbox. The one stupid thing that they didn't do is my son's baseball bag was in there, and his baseball bag probably had $3,000 worth of equipment in it, with the bats and his catcher's gear and everything else, and they didn't take it. And that would have been the easiest thing to take because it was on rollers.
Well, maybe they were
That happened to
you
me
know
at a
what?
baseball tournament when I was.
We'll be a
I think
little
it was like
respectful.
Maybe they were just
12 or 13.
hungry and they're like,
My dad-
oh, there's actually
and
food
we
in
went to
here.
the concession
Yeah, you're
stand,
all sick of
with our
what
team, we were waiting on the
I need to find my way home. Let's
and I
use
was
this
like,
GPS.
I went out to pick up and get a snack, and I come back and my baseball bag is completely gone. I just might just pick it up about
GPS?
So, so you got to be careful. And I did have money stashed in there. They didn't find it. That was a good thing. All right, so we should usually get out $300-400 something, so that we could just have cash just in case. And I'll stash it in there somewhere. But good thing to have on or a good reason to have it is it's got, you don't have to carry around all that cash. Disadvantages of credit cards.
Dig yourself in debt.
All right, debt,
You could pay it off plus.
you got to pay it off plus interest.
Worried about if it's only active out.
Somebody might steal it. If you don't pay attention, especially if you don't use your credit card a lot, it might take a while. Thieves are a little more intelligent now than they were when I said I got mine stolen 3 times. I got mine, the first time I got it stolen, like I said, they charged like $10,000. First day they stole it, they tried to run it up to like 10 grand. They were trying to buy something stupid. Thieves don't do that now. Guess what they do now?
Small amount.
They do little bitty amounts. They steal 7, 8 credit cards, and they put little bitty amounts on it so that you don't notice that they're charging these amounts on your credit cards. Right? And then that way they can go for longer. What's another disadvantage of a credit card? As soon as you get one, thinking, oh, I'll get another one. Especially for you guys, your limit, you're going to get a credit card, and your limit's probably going to be like $500 or $1,000 or something. You get that full up to that $500 limit, right away somebody else is saying, hey, we'll give you a credit card. And you get another one then. All right, that's not a good thing. Other disadvantages. overcharge it, so too much. Another bad thing, and I don't know that this is a disadvantage in the way that you guys are probably thinking of disadvantages, but what's the credit card company, what are they trying to do? They're a company, what are they trying to do? Make money. They're going to find ways to make money off of you. So, and I'll guarantee if you go home and you ask your folks or whoever, hey, when was the last time you looked at your credit card statement? Most of them are probably going to look at you like, what? Because you just don't look at it all the time, especially with everything being online now. And so you get your credit card statement, and where do you look at? How much do I owe? That's what you look at. And once you look at that, you don't look at back up through there and say, okay, I charge this. Now my wife does every now and then. Just a couple of days ago, she asked me, hey, what's this charge? Did we make that charge? And it was something, because it had some funny name on it. And we charged something at like Walmart or somewhere, but it had some crazy name on it. I said, oh yeah, that was that thing that we bought from Walmart, but it had some other company's name on it for whatever reason. I don't know why. So you got to make sure that you look at it. Disadvantage, you need to make sure that you're keeping up with it. It's just something else to keep up with. That's probably something, buy something through them, and we probably bought it offline. I think we might have bought it offline, and then it wasn't actually through Walmart, it was through the other company like you're saying. Make sure your names are on those, both of them, and what you're going to do is you're going to pass them to your right.
I'm not too
Once they all get passed to the right, pass them forward so that Haley ends up with them all.
Give them to me. Oh.
Mr. Ebersole, this quiz that you had us do, last time, you want it?
Hang on to the quiz from last time. We'll talk about it next time. So if you got it, just hang on to it.
Yeah, I did. We did the homework one day, and
Yeah.
he said,
Notes for today. Don't hand in anything else, just the worksheet. The two worksheets. That's all they've been handing. Just the two worksheets. Don't hand me in any of the homework or anything else. Matt, you didn't do this?
What? Oh, I was so confused when you were asking me. I did it on another piece.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
That one you did?
Yes.
Here, mine.
We just did this, right?
Yeah, we. Yeah, only. Are we trying to? I turned on this.
Page 2.
Yeah, we ain't worried about that yet. Worried about this. So answer that real quick when you give it to me. Different ways that credit card companies charge interest and different ways that they make their money. A lot of them check if you get a credit card or any kind of bill that you're paying, look at the fees that they charge you, and don't be afraid to call the company and ask them, what are these fees? I know, like cable companies, dish network, phone companies, all those things. If you look at your bill, there'll be 10 different fees on there that they're charging you. Call them and ask them about it. The only bad thing is you probably get somebody and they'll be mad at you because they won't have a clue what you're talking about, what the bill, what the fee is. Because it's just somebody answering the phone. Then ask them, say, hey, well then, can you hook me up with somebody who knows what these fees are? Next time you get your phone bill or some kind of bill like that, look at it. I'll guarantee, trying to think on my phone bill, there is a, last time I looked at it, there was a fee. There was a fee that said line maintenance fee. And it was a cell phone. And back in the olden days, when you had actual telephones that had telephone lines up running along the road and everything, then I could understand having a line maintenance fee. But I called the phone company and I said, what is this charge? And why am I being charged it? Oh, that's for the fee for the maintenance on all the telephone lines and stuff. And I said, it's a cell phone. It doesn't have any telephone lines. It goes through the air. Oh no, there's still maintenance and stuff that you gotta have. Of course, they were filling me full of a bunch of crap, just so I would ignore it. And of course I did. I ignored it, and I'm still getting charged it. And I'm sure that you guys are getting charged it too, even though nobody can really explain what fees. You charge me for fixing the air as it's running through it. What? That doesn't make any sense. Huh?
Well, it goes through the satellite, but the satellites are connected to the phone lines too, though.
So see if they could have explained that to me, then that would have worked. But the person I talked to on the phone didn't have any clue, and they were trying to give me a big line.
There's your answer.
So, and I sort of knew. You got the towers and stuff, and it has to run through that, and it runs through the, I sort of knew, but I wanted them to be able to explain it to me because it was a new fee from one month to the next. With credit cards, one of the methods that they use to charge you interest is unpaid balance method. They'll tell you on the credit card, and again, a lot of credit cards don't use this method anymore. They use what we're going to cover next time. But what they do is, you have a balance at a certain time. Maybe it's each month, whatever. With me, AJ? Mm-hmm. You have a balance each month, and at the end of the month, on the 30th, the 31st, they cut it off there and they say, okay, Quentin hasn't paid on this amount, we're going to charge him interest on that amount. Most of them don't do that anymore. So that's something you need to ask is how do you charge the interest? How is this interest getting charged to me? And it's probably going to be on a daily basis now. Most credit cards, most loans, everything charged that way. Not all loans, but most of them. So the unpaid balance method is whatever you don't pay off at a certain set time, then you got to pay interest on that. And most of them are at the end of the month, or maybe you set it up to make your payment. A lot of credit card companies will allow you to set it up whenever you want. I think my wife goes through and she does all of this, but she sets up so that you make payments on the credit cards on the 7th of the month, and then your house payments due on like the 21st of the month, so that the bills are spread throughout the month. That's good. You could set it up that way, but they'll have it set up some cutoff wherever it's cut off at. Some formulas here. This bottom one, that's what we were doing on the first 5 questions that you answered that you turned in. periodic rate, the APR, the annual percentage rate, divided by the periods per year. As you did that, the one that seemed most people had trouble with, semi-annual. Again, semi-annual means how many times a year?
2.
Twice a year. Semi-annual is twice a year.
Good map.
Your unpaid balance is the previous balance minus all payments or credits or whatever that you've made in that certain amount of time. To find the finance charge, you take the unpaid balance times the periodic rate. You've got to remember the periodic rate is not the APR. If you're doing it per month, then it'd be the APR divided by 12. And one other thing I want you to add on out here that I forgot to add on. Sorry. With this, when you're finding this, every credit card, every loan, every whatever has some kind of fees now. So a lot of times those fees will have to be added in. They'll give you some kind of whatever the fee is. A lot of times now the fee is, if you want your bill sent to you through the mail, they'll charge you a paper fee. I know I have 2 bank accounts right now, and I've tried to do them online, and I can't. They change the passwords and stuff too often, and it screws me up every time, and I got tired of messing with them. So now I'm telling them to go back to paper. They're charging me $1 per month for a paper fee. And they're probably going to raise it up just to make me go back to doing it online again. They'll probably make it more than $1 because they're trying to force everybody to do everything online. So your new balance is always going to be the unpaid balance plus the finance charge, which came from right here, plus any new purchases, plus the fees. And again, remember periodic rate, whatever the percentage is that they tell you. Anybody remember what we say a normal percentage on a credit card for you guys might be?
500.
No, that's the limit. That's the spending limit. Percent. What's the APR?
Wasn't it 14 or something?
14. Are you guys, if you guys apply for a credit card today, you're going to get one that's got a 14% interest? Probably not.
Could do like 14 to 28 or something like that.
14 to 28, something like that. Which end is your guys' credit card probably going to be closer to?
28.
Probably going to be closer to the 28%. Right? And as you build up your credit and you do stuff and you use their credit card and you pay it off, then it starts to maybe go down a little bit. If you ask them. If you don't keep on them and call them and figure out stuff with it, are they just going to move the percentage down just because they like you?
No.
Probably not. If you call them and say, hey, I'm going to transfer all this to this other credit card because I'm getting 20% instead of 28% on it, then guess what they'll probably do?
Drop it 20%.
They'll offer you the 20%. If you're in good standing with them if you've been paying your bill and they're making money off of you. Linda, Baxter's charge count statement shows unpaid balance of $321.06. How about your calculator so you can help me so we can get this done real quick? Monthly finance charge is 1.5%. So they've already done the monthly, sorry about that, finance charge for you. Stupid thing. So all we got to do here is take 321.06, and what are we going to charge it times? Or times it by?
0.015.
Somebody do that multiplying for us. Before we do it, stop for a second. Before we do it, give me a sensible answer. This, you should do this in your head every time. Before you actually do the math, think of a sensible answer. If this was 2%, what's 2% of $100? $2. 2% out of 100 is $2, right? How many hundreds did we have here? 3. So about $6. Somewhere around $6 should be a sensible number. Now, is it going to be exactly $6? Probably not. But $6 is something normal that we're thinking there. So if we come up with 10 cents, or we come up with $200, we know we probably did something wrong. Now do the multiplying. What'd you come up with? 4.8? Anybody else get that? What do we got to make sure we put on here? So about what is the finance charge for the month? $4.80. Does that make sense? We said about $6. Is that fairly close to $6? Yeah. Now that's just her finance charge. If we want to figure out what her new total is going to look like, what would we have to do with that $4.80? Add it on to the unpaid balance. Roll-in charge count statement shows an unpaid balance of $925, monthly finance charge. These are being nice because they've already divided for you and everything. What is the new account balance? Again, about 2%. Round this off, let's make it about $1,000. So for every $100, it's $2. So if it was $1,000, $2, how many hundreds are there in 1,000? 10. So 10 times 2 is, so the finance charge that we're figuring should be about $20. Probably a little less than that, but somewhere around $20. So if we come up with $200, we know something's wrong. If we come up with $2, we know something's wrong. So 925, what are we going to times 925 by? Close. Make sure. That's where that's going to mess up that numbers if you don't move the decimal enough places or too many places. Anybody else get $16.18? Does that make sense with what our estimate was? We said about $20. Does that make sense? Oh, is that our answer? What'd they say? So what do we have to do here? Take the 925 and add what onto it? Add on the 1618. Please make sure that you read the problems carefully. What's that give us? What's that give us? Thank you. Maria Leon's charge account uses the unpaid balance method to compute the finance charges at a monthly rate of 2.5% during the month. She charged $329.08, made a $400 payment, and had an $18.50 finance charge. What is her new balance? A little tougher on this one. These are the ones you guys love so much, right? So make sure you're following along and listening closely here. I think I put about 3 or 4 of these on that last test, didn't I? And a whole bunch of red marks close to them because people were just guessing and throwing answers in there. So it says her finance charge at the monthly rate of 2.5. During the month she charged that, made $400 payment, and had a $18.50 finance charge. What is her new balance?
Would you add all those up, the 329, 400, and the 18?
Do we add these two? What's different about those two?
Oh, it's right.
This is how much she charged, new charges, right? And what's this one? That's a payment. So are we adding that on?
Sure.
That's getting subtracted off, right? So you got to make sure that you're subtracting it off.
And then you would add the 1850.
That's going to get added on at the end, right?
Yeah.
So how can we do this? Method to compute the finance charge at a monthly rate of 2.5%. She charged these new amounts. She made a $400 payment. So this is going to get added on. This is going to get what? Subtracted.
We got to find what the previous balance was.
We got to figure out what the previous balance was, don't we? So to figure out the previous balance, we know she got charged $18.50. We were just doing previous times the percentage, right? And that gave us the finance charge. We know the finance charge this time. What is it? $18.50. Do we know the previous balance? No, we don't know that, do we? Do we know the percentage? What is it? 2.5. Change that to a decimal for me. How are we going to solve for previous balance here? If you're multiplying these two together, what's the opposite of that? Somebody help me out. What's 1850 divided by 0.025? What should our answer be? Give me a relative kind of thing here. What should happen to our number? Lower than 1850? Should get higher, right? Exactly 740?
Yeah, that's what I got.
So what was our previous balance? $740. She charged in this and made this payment. Now we gotta be careful here because that was her previous balance. She charged in this amount, but made a payment. How are we doing that?
Yeah, it's 740, or 740.
All right, so add that, 329.08. And then what are we gonna do with the 400? And that's gonna give us her total new balance. What's that give you?
669.08.
So starting off the new month, her balance is $669.08. Check out Elijah. This is the assignment that I gave you when I wasn't here. So you should have it done already, but go back over it and make sure. We will have a test coming up here real soon. All right?
We did that. No, we didn't. We didn't do that. We didn't do that.
Would you tell on me if I do something at West? You wouldn't? Because did I not just get done saying what was true about this assignment?
We already did it.
This is the assignment that I gave you last time when I wasn't here, and I know you probably already had.
Oh.
Wes, I think you're good. Did it hurt?
Huh?
Did it hurt?
A little bit.
Good. Been getting on my nerves all day. I think you're doing it on purpose. Just to.
Depends on the day. Sometimes you need something to get on your nerves. Makes the day interesting.
So make sure you do that assignment. Next time I will check it. We will have a test coming up here real soon.